I just wanted to say I'd never seen either of you before, and I haven't been able to disagree with anything that the guest has said today.
Welcome to TTSCP, T.R.A.A.P TV and Soul Culture. Welcome to TTSCP, T.R.A.A.P TV and Soul Culture Productions. I'm not gonna be on the screen for too long. I just want to say thank you to the supporters. Thank you to the people who support for real. And thank you to the haters too, of course. Today we got a special video on Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Minister Louis Farrakhan, just talking about issues on the black culture and just expanding on what was going on around 1985. So stay tuned. Last but most importantly, I want y'all to see too how when you out here in this corporate world, how when certain people in power, when they get mad, they do certain things or say certain things that you can't really respond to unless you know how to respond in a chest level type move. You can't always respond with aggression. To think sometimes you can kill them with kindness, killing them with a smile. That's why I really like Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he kills them with a smile and a smart remark. So let's get tuned into the video.
Okay, where do you begin with Minister Farrakhan? What kind of do we have a shot at an integrated America where we really do get rid of these fears? Do you think we have a chance at that? Have you given up on that?
If there's justice in America for blacks, then blacks will be contented with America. If there's injustice, continued injustice and oppression, blacks will continue this disaffection with the United States.
But my reading of your position is, I have the feeling that you've really given this up as a possibility, and that you're looking for a black nation with black ownership of business and black control of the financial destiny of the membership.
Not at all. Separation is an ultimate solution. It is an extreme solution. However, if we can get freedom, justice, and equality within the social, political, and economic order of the United States, that would be better.
So you continue to hold out the, can a white person be a member of the Nation of Islam? Your nation?
There are white Muslims, yes.
There are. Well, you're smiling. It hasn't always been that way. Okay, all right. It's going to be real hard to argue with you regarding the grievances. And I certainly think it's a mistake to get into a contest about whose atrocity is the worst atrocity. Nevertheless, are you here to say that the Jews are not entitled to any homeland anywhere?
For 40 years, the Jewish state has existed, and they've had problems defining what is a Jew. Once we can define what is a Jew, then we can talk about a Jewish homeland. What is the definition of a Jew?
And what is the definition of a member of a Muslim? No, nobody's, certainly like most religions, you're fractured yourself.
Jew is not a race.
But what's your point?
My point is, I can define what a Muslim is. A Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God. What is a Jew?
Yes, but then, from then on, we get all kinds of, just give me a second here. Defining a Muslim would, you'd get into an argument, for example, with Wallace D. Muhammad on the issue of defining a Muslim. So, my point is...
I think we both would agree. Wallace D. Muhammad would agree with me that a Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God.
Okay. You called Hitler a great man, and now you're going to tell us that you didn't mean great as necessarily positive. I mean, for a man who... you did say that, didn't you? You're not going to deny you said Hitler was a great...
Let's put that in context.
Okay.
Some Jewish leaders likened me to a black Hitler.
They did.
I took umbrage at that remark.
That's true.
I said the only way you can compare me with Hitler is that Hitler rose Germany up from the ashes. We are trying to rise black people up from the ashes, but don't compare me with your wicked killers. That's what I said.
So, with the tradition of Jesus, Muhammad, Martin Luther King, this is bellicose.
All of the prophets, when they spoke, they
so you
issued
are a prophet
threats.
then?
I said all of the prophets, when they spoke, they issued threats and warnings. I think in the role of a teacher, we must look at the condition of black people in this country, the condition of America. And if the country continues in the path that the country is going, all intelligent people see the country going the way of Rome, the way of ancient Babylon, the way of Sodom and Gomorrah. Something has to be done of a positive nature to turn this around.
You know, let's get this in. Who's going to say that we don't have problems? College basketball. Listen, this isn't funny. Now, these young men are innocent. But if corruption has hit the NCAA final teams in the basketball tournament without having yet proved their case, these young men are innocent. Let's get that in. That does not look good for us. General Dynamics on the take. They're building submarines, and the guy who ran the company is hiding now in Greece. General Electric, top 10 Fortune 500. Minister Farrakhan is right when he says we have a problem. The question is whether you're contributing to the possibility of making it worse.
The question is, you know, Mr. Donahue,
how many babies are going to be quite literally dead in the crossfire of the prophets?
Mr.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
The question is, yes, there's corruption. Yes, blacks are suffering. But what is the solution to the problem? In my judgment, sir, the solution has to revolve around two things. A united front of all black leaders and black organizations to address the problem of black unemployment and black suffering. We are blessed to get out of the economy of the United States this year approximately $204 billion, making us the 12th richest country on earth. I'm talking about black people.
Yes.
With that kind of money redirected into the hands of black people, we could redress our own grievances rather than standing on corners or begging white people to do for us what we should now do for ourselves. That, I believe, is a solution to the problem.
We are in New York City with Minister Farrakhan. We'll give this audience an opportunity, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hang on a moment. Yes, ma'am.
I just have to say that maybe Hitler did some good things. But all one has to do, in your opinion, he may have been great. In my opinion, I'm not Jewish, but I have had the opportunity, and I say opportunity, to go to a concentration camp. And tears just flow. I don't care what religion you are. It is so sad, the injustices that were done.
I agree with you, miss, that human suffering is sad no matter who is suffering. We don't control NBC, ABC, and CBS, so our story, the story of the black Holocaust, has never really been told. Roots did a fairly decent job of trying to tell our story. But if we told our story, like Jews have been able to tell their story, a brass monkey would shed tears over what blacks have suffered in this country. And not Jews.
All right, okay.
I just have to, there's no battle and no speech, but I'm sitting here and listening to this, and I'm getting very upset. You are obviously a very erudite, intelligent, learned man, and you're using that to twist facts. What bothers me is not the Jews and the Catholics or anything. What bothers me is your lack of respect. You are in a position of power, and you're using it in a negative way instead of a positive way. Your lack of responsibility bothers me.
You know, I must...
Let me try here for 1 second. He may not say this, but here's the disquieting part of this. The nice guys don't have any power. And he has more and more people showing up at more and more rallies saying, I've had it. I've had it. I marched, I sang, we shall overcome, I did all that stuff, and look where I am.
Why are they showing up like this? It is because those in positions of power that were white have misused their trust and their responsibility. I am not misusing power. I'm not advocating that blacks riot. I'm not advocating that they stick up. I'm not advocating that they kill white people. I'm not advocating that they break the law. I'm advocating that we unite and pool our resources to change the conditions under which we live. What is so improper about that responsible use of power?
Okay. What's improper is the fact that you're not saying directly, you didn't say you were going to kill Coleman directly, but by using inflammatory words, you are creating an image. That's the point.
I think you have a responsibility.
The television created the image.
Describing the men accompanying Reverend Farrakhan as intimidating. They appear to be gentlemanly to me. But anytime a black man speaks out against injustices perpetrated against us by white people, there's something wrong with him. And you've helped to contribute to that attitude by suggesting that these men who are with Reverend Farrakhan are somehow intimidating and fierce-looking.
Well, they are intimidating.
They're not.
You don't think he's intimidating?
No, I do not think they're intimidating. They are doing
Are the
job
Secret
that they're
Service
supposed to do,
intimidating?
but they certainly don't look
Yeah, that's a
fearful.
good point.
Are the Secret Service intimidating? Are the police intimidating?
All right.
Well, what kind of society do we live in then?
Yeah, don't miss her point, though. She's saying, so she feels this is a white media attempt to what? Trivialize the guest?
Not only that, it's any time a black man speaks out against the injustices perpetrated against us by whites, there's somehow the meaning that they're somehow diminished. What the purpose is diminished by suggesting that these men are they're fearful.
No. I understand your point. I think your point should be considered. I truly do. Minister Farrakhan thanks you for your support. You will not be upset with this bleeding heart white liberal if I call your attention to the fact Louis Farrakhan is, as I said, drawing larger and larger crowds, and boy, I'll tell you this, you're getting right up there with all those TV evangelists. You got stuff to sell now. And that's legal here in America. But how do we know you're not a Billy Sunday? And not to mention, you know, we've had an awful lot of terrible things happen in the name of the Lord down through the years, the most recent of which might be entitled the Jim Jones escapade. Now, I'm not here to suggest that you're capable of that kind of behavior, Minister Farrakhan, but you will not be upset with me for saying that folks like you have a responsibility to retain some humility and not presume that you are the possessor of absolute truth, and to reach out, perhaps, for a dialogue, something that your rhetoric does not promote.
I would be very glad to have a dialogue. In fact, I asked for a dialogue with the Jewish leadership.
To reach out, perhaps, for a dialogue, something that your rhetoric does not promote.
I would be very glad to have a dialogue. In fact, I asked for a dialogue with the Jewish leadership of the B'nai B'rith. They denied that. Sir, with all due respect to you, the popes are supposed to be infallible.
Yeah.
But history tells us they made many, many mistakes and were responsible for a lot of wrongdoing.
Something that's been called to the attention of our audience here on more than a few occasions.
So when a black person stands up and gathers thousands of black people to listen to him, automatically whites fear. Why do you fear? It is because you feel a guilt. And that guilt is that one day blacks are going to repay whites for the evil that they poured on us. That's why you don't want a black person to be a strong black leader.
Yeah, I'm concerned about a statement you made at the beginning of the show as far as religion goes. Each one that has their own religion follows their God. Why would you even question what a Jew is when they follow their God? The same as you follow your God and I follow mine.
What I'm questioning is not one's right to follow one's God. I'm questioning a practice of injustice that has deprived Palestinians of their homeland and deprived blacks and Indians of justice in the United States. All the people that deprive us claim to be religious.
Anybody with your education and abilities and gifts who is consistently, chronically misunderstood by the majority of people is doing so purposely. You are either selling tickets to your next rally or you are purposely trying to enrage those against whom you feel you have these...
Mr. Donahue, with all due respect, I think that's a rather mischief-making statement in that you accuse the victim of the crime. Now, I have, just a minute. If the press gave an accurate distillation of my words to the American people, I would have nothing to say. But the press misrepresented what I said, and you continue to do the same thing.
I mean, he asked a question. He said, Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. And in another breath, he says, terrorism is in the eyes of the beholder. I want to know what your idea of terrorism is.
Well, first, let me say this, that, you know, it's easy to talk about love. But what is love? If you don't give freedom, justice, and equality, you cannot love. If black people are in America and we've given our sweat and our blood to maintain and build this country and to defend it, and we have not yet acquired real freedom, real justice, real equality, then the hypocrites who continue to say, what is love, or you should love, have not loved themselves.
In light of the Reagan administration and everything that's been going on in the past 4 or 5 years, to me, Minister Farrakhan has become the castor oil I think this racist America needs in order to begin to clean us out. Because the problem is, the reason that so much opposition is to what Minister Farrakhan says is because it hits to the core, and he's throwing out some statements that hurt, and people are feeling guilty about them. And what happened is,
doesn't it trouble you that he uses other people's oppression? He manipulates it, and through confused rhetoric seems to almost forgive it, when in fact you and I know, and so does he, that those people who were victimized, for example, in the Holocaust, were victimized by the same kind of fear, hatred, and psychotic behavior that you feel as oppressed people of color all these years. Now, why do that? Why use someone else's agony to try and get attention for your own?
Whose language?
No, we're not using someone else's agony. We're using our own agony.
That's right.
Black folk are agonizing in America, not because of Adolf Hitler, but because of Reagan administration, because of former administration's inactivity to solve the problem of justice for black people.
And the other point is that white America wants us to use their language of oppression, and if we talk the way white America feels, then it's okay. But as soon as we start talking from our black perspective, then all of a sudden it's racist.
And do you know why this is, sister? You know why this is? Whites actually still feel that they're in the position of the slave master, and we're the slave. Just a minute. If that were not so, don't I have the right to invite Mr. Gaddafi or any other African leader? And don't we have the right to listen to what they say, accept or reject what they have to say? Why do I have to apologize to white people for acting as a free black man? I am not your slave.
Let me try. How do you feel about Ronald Reagan?
You know, I feel that Ronald Reagan is a blessing in disguise to black people.
Tell me how. Tell me. Briefly.
Because Ronald Reagan is one of those winds that will get the dry bones in the valley together. If it were not for government rejection of handouts, blacks would still be looking to white people to do something for us.
That's his position.
Exactly.
And you agree with that?
I agree with that position.
So government...
I want to see black people do for themselves.
So all those food stamps... Wait a minute. All those food stamp programs, all that do-good stuff, all that New Deal, Great Society, Johnson, Bleeding Heart, liberal government handouts, crippled black people.
Exactly. Exactly.
So did you vote for President Reagan in the last...
No, I did not.
You should have.
I did not vote.
You should have.
I did not.
But
then, I feel that the more Mr. Reagan continues these kinds of policies, the more black people will be forced to rely on themselves. It's one thing to say to America, you've been bad to us. All right. But it's another thing to also say on the other side, look at the blessings we've gotten out of America. We have gotten good education. We have $204 billion purchasing power, which we squander away in riotous living. We need to pull together all black leaders around the serious question of getting black folk to use the resources that we have gained in America to better ourselves. And if we did that, Mr. Donahue, the racist attitude of whites in the country would diminish because they would see black people for the first time in a self-respecting position.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Minister Farrakhan, what are the international implications of power?
The international implications are that black folk, once we become producers of what we consume, we become a trading partner with other third world peoples that strengthens their rise, our rise, and we can leverage that economic power into political power to redirect the course of this nation.
Over here, please.
How did you feel when even Jesse Jackson had to repudiate you?
I felt that Reverend Jackson is my brother. He had to do that. He was forced to do that. Up to this point, we still have a very warm, brotherly, and friendly relationship.
Over here, please.
That is, that you want black and white to work together. Unfortunately, the society has created a problem that we believe black people have to unite to solve our own problem. Then we can work together with whites to solve other problems.
Over here, please.
I want to know how come there's all this fighting and everything, all in the name of God.
Yeah, I want to know that too.
You know, God is always on the side of the oppressed against the oppressor. Historically, it's always been that way. We are an oppressed people. God is on our side.
What?
He's against the oppressor.
Why are you the cause of oppression with what you're saying today?
Pardon me?
Please, going back
Am
to the
I oppressing
anti-Semitic
you?
remarks, and
Am I
please don't
oppressing
get
you?
into a semantic conversation where you're going to try to change your words around and tell us that what you said wasn't what you meant.
Liz,
I don't care for a lot of the things this man has said, but he has made a statement that makes sense to me. Start your own schools, start your own factories, and leave us alone. Fight your own way out of oppression.
I like that.
Are you applauding that?
You know, I must say,
You'll pardon the white liberals back, but hang on just a second.
okay.
Once we've already got this. If we don't learn. If you're going to have black here and white here, sooner or later somebody's going to go to the wrong convenience store. Somebody's going to have consumed a six-pack. Somewhere during the night, the word nigger will be heard, then the word honky, and there goes the whole neighborhood. That's the whole point of the effort that we are, however imperfectly...
I'm very sorry, Mr. Donahue, to disagree. I don't think that's what this lady wanted at all. Blacks are already living separately, but we don't profit from our separateness. We should build up our own community. Yeah. We should do all of these things, and then your people will have more respect for black people because black people will be showing a measure of self-respect.
All right.
I am tired of having to take the guilt for what my ancestors did with the slaves.